Frank Azurri, he's never worried, he's...
Isn't it amazing how one day we all just came out of the woods and decided we're better off working together than alone? That's what makes us human, the most advanced animal. Although, sometimes you look around at what's going on in the world and you think, are we though? There's so much ugliness in the world right now. Yet, you see so much love and community in neighborhoods all over the world. I have that in my neighborhood of San Pedro. And then I look around at what's going on in the world and I think, come on, we can do better than this, right? So Drew and I are here today in Sunken City. This is the neighborhood where in 1929, shortly before Drew and I were even born, this neighborhood fell into the ocean. See, what happened was, it's a really social place, so one day they had a big block party and so many people showed up that the cliff collapsed. Don't invite too many people to your block.
Frank, that's not what happened.
What did you hear happen?
Frank, the hillside was unstable. I mean, they should have never built houses on it in the first place, okay? By 1929, they said the hillside was slipping 11 inches per day, right? Some of the people that had houses there left, but some stayed, because they wanted to keep that beachfront property.
So you're telling me that a bunch of developers didn't take the proper precautions, all because rich people wanted oceanfront property and they wanted to make money?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened, Frank.
Well, that's really irresponsible.
Yeah.
Wow. There's still a lot of developers in LA. They don't do stuff like that anymore, do they?
Oh, Frank.
Well, the good news is, now Sunken City is free and open to the public.
Wait, no, Frank, it's not free or open to the public. If we were to go back there right now, we could get fined $1,000. Yeah, I mean, there's still some debate about whether or not it should stay closed or become reopened, but no consensus has been reached yet.
Well, surely the Poet Laureate will have a vote.
Frank, you're not the Poet Laureate.
I vote yes.
We all live in our paradise, it's your fault, it's your fault. It's your fault. Sounds a lot like free market capitalism, your fault, it's your fault. It's your fault. We all live in our paradise, it's your fault, it's your fault.
The top 10% gets it all. Gets it all. Gets it all.
It's your fault.
What's up, Status Coup fam? It is Ron and Drew, and we're back. And episode 3. We're almost halfway through the first season. It's going to be an 8-episode first season. And we already finished episode 4. You're going to love it. And this was episode 3, where Frank learns about real estate developers and Sunken City, which is lovely. Right. I really liked all the fun landscape stuff we got in this episode. There was a lot of fun stuff. And if people look close enough, there is a guy peeing.
Yeah, right.
Not on purpose. We didn't like we were just doing a pan thing, and I didn't even notice him when we were shooting it.
Yeah, because he was out there doing that horrible thing in public. There could have been children around. So Ron and I took it upon ourselves to shoot him.
Yeah, no, I mean, you could barely see it, and you probably did. It's just but yeah, did you catch it, or did I catch it? Or
I think you did.
Okay,
or
yeah.
Maybe but look for it now, the secret peer in each episode.
Yeah, right. It was I mean, you can't see it. The dude's back is turned, but and you can barely make it out. But it's if you look close enough, you could tell that is in fact what it is. And yeah, some dude just started peeing. I don't know. What are you gonna do? I guess that's whatever you're filming a public area. I guess that's
realism
you run. Yeah, there could be, but yeah, that was not in there on purpose. And we noticed it after the episode was done, and we were like, well, you can't really. I mean, we don't know for sure that's what he was doing. He could have just been standing with his back to you can't make anything out because that's how far it was, and it was just so brief.
Right.
So actually, we're just going to say that's not what he was doing. It looks like a guy peeing, but I mean, it could have just been a guy with his back turned.
Right.
It could have
left his water bottle in the sun too long, Ron, and then he was nervous about drinking. So he turned around and was pouring it out.
He
from our judgmental perspective,
he could have been packing a bowl. He
Yeah, right.
could have been. I mean, there's a bunch of things he could have been doing. So if you look close enough, there is something that looks like a guy who could be peeing, but who knows what he was actually doing, and we'll never know, and that's for the best.
Right. It's like
But
the Wizard of Oz and the hanging guy.
right,
You know, it's just
yeah,
a
we'll never.
mystery.
Wasn't that? Didn't they figure that out though? Wasn't it legit that guy did that?
I'm not sure. And then I saw a documentary recently where they were like, no, it was somebody. It was one of the original faked like videos or something. So I'm not sure if it's
Ah.
real or
Yeah,
maybe
we'll never
in the
know.
comments there where there's a raging conversation about this. You know.
Yeah, right. So this episode deals with Sunken City, which is in the San Pedro neighborhood in which both Drew and I live. It is closed to the public. That is true. Frank was off again. A lot of people hike there anyway. And you know, maybe I have at some point. Maybe Drew has at some point. It's not worth mentioning one way or another. But yeah, it's one of those things that is technically closed. Most people don't really follow that, and I've never seen anyone get a fine. I don't know if it happens or not, but
No.
it can. That they can give you $1,000 fine if you're there. And there's disputes whether or not it should be just open to the public. The only time they ever kind of enforce things there is when like a bunch of high school kids are throwing a kegger, which does happen. That you'll hear. I mean, I used to hear like the LAPD would take a helicopter and just broadcast. Like they would get on the loudspeaker and they would just be like, "Please just go home." like just set the alcohol down and go home. And like just because what a good use of resources having a
Right.
freaking helicopter
to shut down
terrorize
parties.
a
Yeah.
bunch of. I mean, look, and I get it. You don't want. I don't think anybody should be drinking there because I mean those hills are very steep.
Yeah.
So
Nighttime?
yeah, at night, yeah,
Right. Yeah.
you should not be drinking there, or I don't think you should be doing any types of substances there. I think that's dangerous, but you don't need a freaking helicopter to terrorize high school kids. Like just a flashlight that'll do the trick.
Yeah.
On foot,
Yeah.
you know.
A firm hey. The cop hey, and then
The
they're
cop
running
hey.
out. They're out
The
of
classic
there.
cop hey, and they're
Uh-huh.
gonna flee.
That's what they do when there's not a door to pound on,
Yeah. So what stuck out to you in this episode?
Well, it's interesting getting to learn the history again of how this land has been sliding. It is sliding right now
Yeah.
like crazy just up the coast a little bit, right? Where they're at, there may be a federal state of emergency at some point here soon, I guess, right? There's already, I guess, a local one. So
Well-
the land is sliding. $1 million houses are sliding,
Well,
towards the
did you
ocean.
see that thing? It's kind of ironic that this episode got released now because we shot this one back, I think, before the new year. Like we shot
Yeah.
this one a little farther in advance.
Yeah.
But it's ironic it's getting released now because there's that thing that's been all over the news about that guy who refuses to leave his home.
Yes. In Dana Point, I believe.
Yeah, Dana Point,
Yeah.
which is kind of San Diego-y, right? Like that's
Sort of,
near
right?
San
It's
Diego.
closer to San Diego than we are.
Right. And he's refusing to leave his home. I mean, if you look at that home, it literally looks like it's falling into the ocean.
Yeah. And he's like 83 or something, right?
Yeah. So he just does not care.
Right.
Which, dude, maybe you don't care, but think about the people who are going to have to deal with that if your house just falls.
Right.
Although I guess, like, what would he, even if he did leave, what would they do? Like, would they start dismantling the
taking it down?
house? Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know what they would do. I'm guessing that's what they would do. They would just start dismantling the house.
Right.
And then he could just, I mean, I guess he could just pass that land on to his descendants. I don't
Right.
know.
Right.
I'm not
I
sure how
remember
that works.
he's
'Cause if
quoted
there's no
just saying,
house.
like, it won't get red taped. Like, I won't have it. And I'm like, what happens when it's red taped? Like, is it just taped
Yeah.
off and that's it? Red alert? Uh-oh, cat appearance.
I think it's just, I mean, I don't know what his deal is. Yeah.
He's an old Navy man. He comes from a Navy
Yeah.
family, and both his parents, I mean, it comes from John Smith, who went down with the Titanic, captain of Titanic. So he just is, it's in his blood to go down
With the
but now
house.
he's with his house, right? Yeah, into the ocean.
So that's ironic that we do an episode about Sunken City, which, by the way, the stuff that Drew says about Sunken City is true. They should have never been building there.
Yeah.
They did it anyway. And these houses were freaking sliding. And they warned me. They were like, hey, these houses are sliding. And some people were just like, well, I can see the ocean. Forget it. And stayed. And then the whole thing just collapsed into the water. And yeah, it's just amazing that they ever did that. And so ridiculously stupid and wasteful that they ever did that. Sunken City has been immortalized in the movie The Big Lebowski. That's where they spread the dude's ashes. But or not the dude's at Donnie's.
Donnie,
yeah. That's the dude spreads Donnie's ashes.
But, or I think Walter does. The dude gets them all over his face.
Oh, right? Yeah. Yeah, he gets it ever. Yeah, Walter gets it ever. There you go. And then they go bowling.
Yeah.
Oh, what a movie. What a movie. So that's Sunken City in cinema. First it was Big Lebowski, then it was in episode 3 of Frank Azurri.
Right.
Who knows where it'll be next.
Ron did some, there was some dangerous camera work too. I'll say, like behind the scenes here. Remember, Ron? It was
I almost fell at
slips
one
and
point.
slides.
Yeah, I did slip at one point on the hill, capturing some of the B-roll.
Caught himself real well though.
Yeah, I didn't fall. There was definitely a little slipperoo, but I caught myself. I cut my hand a little bit, a little bit. Yeah. Nothing to write home about. And I didn't touch anything. I sort of like moved that hand away from everything, and then put a Band-Aid on. But yeah, and then we ran into. It was so funny. It was such a San Pedro experience. As we were shooting that episode, we ran into one of my old neighbors, who is a retired professor. And he was, what was it? Different types of spiders.
Yeah, it was like a spider doing an interesting, I believe, like mating activity.
Yeah,
he was trying to catch, right?
Yeah. So this guy is a really cool guy and a really interesting guy. And I'm not exactly sure what he was a professor of. Maybe it was some type of, I don't know, like science or something. I don't know.
Buggery.
But he will track these spiders and take pictures of them. And there's different types of spiders, and some of them are quite rare, but they are in Southern California. And he goes around looking for these spiders, and he was sharing his findings with Drew and I while we were making an episode of Frank Azurri. And he was fascinated by the phone vlogging kit that we use.
Right. He was inquiring. He's like, I may get one of these, Ron. This Frank stuff looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do my poetry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. He wanted to make some tapes of his poetry, like do some vlogs of his poetry.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I mean, he's got to be like, I think he's around 80.
Yeah.
And he's still just like doing creative stuff and having a cool life and keeping. I mean, I know he's active with the one little theater in the neighborhood. I don't know if he performs, but he's a patron and he goes there a lot. And so, yeah, we ran into him while we were making episode 3.
Right.
And we were, I think we told him, did we tell him what it was called? I don't remember.
I don't remember.
We're making a thing called Frank Azurri.
Yeah. I remember if we talked about the landslides, and it would have been cool. I think we were in shoot mode. You were still shooting B-roll too.
I was still shooting B-roll. You talked to him more than I did because I was going around catching B-roll. But yeah, we ended up talking to my old neighbor for a little while. We ran into him at the Point Furman Park, which, by the way, we will probably have a future episode because Point Furman is also a hotbed of alleged UFO activity.
Oh, okay.
And it's considered one of those places where it's what's it called, like the rip or the tear or whatever, where the land of the living and the dead are kind of merged. I forget
there's like a rip in time or something. It's like the next True Detective season is San Pedro.
Yeah, like apparently Point Furman is one of those places.
Oh, I like that.
Where like there's kind of a that's the, and there's been a lot of weird stuff there. Well, that's where they also did that experimentation with some of the weaponry from the military.
Right.
They were just firing things off, and people thought it was an alien invasion when it happened.
Battle of Los Angeles, right?
Yeah, I think so. But it was just like the military, and some people got killed in that. But yeah, it was just the military firing off some weapons, and that happened right near Sunken City.
They were just trying to stop those teenagers partying, right? Like,
yeah, that's what it was. They were trying to stop the teenagers from partying. So yeah, we've conquered. We've addressed climate change basically twice in some ways. Although technically, Sunken City didn't really have anything to do with climate change, but I guess more stuff like that is happening now as a result of climate change.
Yeah.
Although in that case, it was just kind of always that way, and they just should have never built there. But so climate change 1.5 times maybe, labor history, and now what would you call episode 3? Like just sort of general history, capitalism disasters, history of capitalism
the hubris of capitalism, I guess, too, right? Because it's like, we don't care what all these scientists are saying about the land falling a foot a day.
Yeah,
let's build our homes, right?
Right.
Okay.
They're like, people want to pay for it, and we can build it. So we're just going to ignore all these warnings.
Right. I guess you don't have to be smart to have a lot of money.
That's the truth. So, Drew, where can people go to learn more about you?
You can Twitter me or you can X me at Andrew Saxena.
You had it right the first time. Twitter. Yeah. It is and always will be Twitter.
We're keeping Twitter.
Screw that guy.
Right. Just go to Twitter, and then you go to the link tree on Twitter, and that's everything else. You know what I mean? I think it's easy. Yeah.
Nice. And that's Andrew Saxena. I am at Ron Placone on all socials. And guys, please tell everybody about this series. We know it's a new series. Status Coup has never done any series at all before, let alone a vertical series. So it's still very, very new. So please tell everyone. I know some of you, you've been catching every episode and you're digging it, which is awesome. We love making it. Can't wait for you guys to see the next episode. I think you're really, really going to love it. This episode was a blast as well. So please keep watching. Tell your friends. You can go to my website, ronplacone.com, for some screenings coming up, which you can see Drew in the movie as well. And he'll be at the show in Los Angeles on April 14th. But got a big event coming up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, March 22nd, Los Angeles, April 14th, Idlewild, California, June 8th. ronplacone.com for all information and tickets and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, we'll see you next episode.
See you guys.